Hey guys, it's Danny, and we just wrapped up another Facebook Live and I made one of my very favorites. It is a clean and delicious baked chicken Parmesan. So I wanted to come here and make sure that you guys had it as well. Now we are making an effort to edit out a lot of the comments and the side conversation that comes on those Facebook Lives, so they are more enjoyable for you guys to watch here on YouTube as well. But I really wanted to make sure that you guys got this recipe and you didn't miss it because it is a keeper. Enjoy. Hello my friends, it's Danny, coming at you live from the Clean and Delicious Kitchen, and today I am sharing one of my personal favorite meals. This is a meal that was in the go-to rotation when I was growing up, chicken Parmesan. And since it is one of my favorites, I really wanted to clean it up a bit. And so what I'm doing is I'm showing you guys how I take that and we do a baked version. So this is actually a very light and delicious meal. Yeah, it's perfect when the colder weather warms in because it's like comfort food, but it doesn't leave you feeling heavy and weighed down when you're done eating it. Because I want you guys to see the finished version and how I do this, I've got some that I'm ready to throw in the oven. So these are just some chicken cutlets that I've already breaded, which I'm going to show you right now. This is going to go into a 425 degrees oven for 8 minutes. Then we're going to flip it and do another 8 minutes, okay? So I'm going to get that started. Okay, so when you're doing the chicken Parmesan, what you want to look for are thin chicken cutlets. And as soon as I take them out of the package, I don't know if you can see this, what I do is I get a plastic cutting board. Whenever you're working with meat or poultry, you want to work on plastic. You don't want to work with your wood board. And I lay it down. I put paper towels underneath and over the top. This absorbs any moisture that's on the chicken so that we can get a nice browned crispy chicken, because if the chicken is wet, like when you get it out of the package, then it's gonna get messy and it doesn't, the breading is gonna get soggy when you cook it up, and you don't want that to happen. So lay some paper towels down, absorb any of that extra moisture, and you can see the chicken breasts are nice and dry. Then we have Italian breadcrumbs. I personally love buying the pre-seasoned Italian breadcrumbs. It saves you a step and it adds a lot of extra flavor to your breadcrumbs. And to my breadcrumbs, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, okay? This gives it that nice nutty flavor, and because this dish is pretty lean, the cheese adds a little bit of fat, which is gonna help to add flavor, and it's gonna help to brown up our chicken, okay? So flavor and browning, we're getting the taste, the texture. All these things are very important when you're trying to eat clean and delicious, because I've said it once, I've said it a million times. What's the point of eating clean if it's not delicious? Not happening. Okay, and this is all you have to do to bread your chicken. An egg. So I'm gonna crack my egg, and then we'll give that a quick whisk. Now, whenever you're doing something like this, you wanna season as you go. Right? So what that means to me is that I will season my chicken breast first with salt and pepper. So we're getting the base layer seasoned, then I dip in the egg, then I dip in the in the breadcrumbs with the Parmesan cheese. So I'm gonna put a light layer of cooking spray on my baking sheet, so that's ready to go. And a little salt over each chicken breast. Flip it, you wanna get, well, no, let's do the pepper first. Salt. And then pepper. Then you want to flip them. If you guys love garlic, I love garlic. You could even do a sprinkle of garlic powder. Salt, pepper, sprinkle of garlic powder. Again, you're just infusing flavor through the layers as you go. This promises great end results, and nothing will be bland, and that's very important. Okay. Okay. Then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take, and you're just gonna dip into the egg. So basically you want a nice light coating of the egg on the chicken, but you don't want excess. So I do the dip, and then I let it drip off. And then I come over to my breadcrumbs, lay it in there, flip it around, and you just wanna make sure you have a nice light coating of the breadcrumbs, okay? So I'm gonna continue to do this with my chicken. Now what I bought here too that I didn't mention, but it's good to know, is you want to work with a thin cutlet, right? So basically what a chicken cutlet is when you buy a chicken breast, it's pretty big, it's pretty thick. The cutlets are when they're thin sliced. So it's those breasts cut in half. So if you can't find the cutlet at the store, you can buy the regular chicken breast and then slice them in half, and then you'll have that little leftover tender, which is fine. You can just do this with the little tenders too. And those are really fun if you have kids, like give them the little tenders, because at the end of the day, they do like things that are little. We like things that are like ourselves, which is why I like things that are really awesome. So when you are doing these chicken, one thing I do want you guys to keep in mind is you don't want to overcrowd your pan. So once you've got them seasoned with salt and pepper, if you really like garlic, you do a little garlic powder too, dip it into your egg mixture and then into some Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. You can also sub egg white for the egg, guys. It would work just the same, but you use so little, it really doesn't matter either way. But if you really wanted to keep it light, or if you're really trying to cut your fat out of your diet, which I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if you're trying to keep it really super light, you can do that. Okay, so do not overcrowd your pan. We've got 4 cutlets on the pan. I'm gonna rinse my hands, give them a good wash, and I'll show you what's happening in the oven. Because this is really light. We're taking a dish that's really normally very heavy, and this ends up being a very light dish. Okay.
So we put these in the beginning.
I'm gonna flip these over. We didn't get our browning yet, but don't worry, it's coming. So you flip them over. You can see they're a little brown on the bottom too. That's because I sprayed the pan. A good little trick, guys, if you want to get a little extra browning on your chicken like this, is to take your cooking spray and spray it right over the top. Just like a really light layer, because that little bit of fat helps to brown the chicken. So this is going back in my oven for 8 minutes. I wanted to show you guys the pre-cooked part. Now I pre-did those because I want you guys to be able to see this whole process. But once you're done with the egg and the breadcrumb and you've breaded everything, the other things that you need to prepare are, you need to get some type of sauce ready. So in my pot here, I just have a simple tomato marinara sauce, and I have that going over a very low heat. You could use it cold, but I don't love putting the cold on the warm chicken because then again, it kind of encourages sogginess, and I like it to stay nice and crisp and fresh. And cheese. So I have 2 cheese options. I wanted to show you guys both of them. Now, traditionally a chicken parm will have a shredded mozzarella, just like this one. But I also think sometimes it's nice to do a fresh mozz over the top. It's just a nice way to change it up a little. It gives it that little extra, like that little extra edge. Sometimes it's just a matter of tweaking 1 or 2 ingredients like that, and it's kind of transforms the dish, but it's the same classic flavors. So that's a nice addition to do a little bit of fresh mozzarella. So I thought today I would show you guys both options, okay? So we're either gonna do the fresh or this. And the other thing I prepared was just a little bit of fresh parsley that's gonna go over the top. I hear my sauce boiling. Now, once you have got all your chicken ingredients ready to go, your cheese is ready, all of this is ready to roll, I'm gonna move this out of our way, you have to ask yourself a very important question. You have to ask yourself, what am I gonna serve my chicken parm with? So, a lot of people, traditionally, spaghetti, right? And we don't do a lot of pasta in my house. When I do pasta, I'm a big fan of the brown rice pastas. But we don't do a ton of it. And it's not because it's like so good or bad. It's not so much that, it's that I know for myself, it's just one of those foods that I could eat like 4 bowls. No matter what, no matter if I'm trying to, there's just something about pasta calls me in. So when it comes to food and healthy eating, I say, know thyself. Food in and of itself is not morally good, wrong or right. We just have to make choices that feel good in our body and that like give us energy and feel good. And for me, pasta, usually not so much. So what I have got is I'll either do zoodles, which I didn't do today, or I will do my personal favorite, spaghetti squash. So all I did for my spaghetti squash was roast this in the oven. That's really one of the easiest things to do. You're gonna cut it in half lengthwise, you scoop out the seeds, and then you can season it with a little olive oil, salt, pepper, skin side up on a rimmed baking sheet into a 425-degree oven, about 45 minutes or so. It gets really tender and you can pull the strands right out. So you can see that it literally looks like spaghetti, which is where it gets its name from. Now, does it taste just like spaghetti? No, it tastes like a squash. But if you are trying to incorporate more vegetables into your diet, if you are trying to lighten up the meal, if you are willing to have an open mind, I'm telling you, it is extremely delicious, and it's just a different experience, and it works really well as a spaghetti substitute. But you have to go in it knowing that it's squash. Like sometimes I see people and they're like, tastes just like spaghetti. No, it doesn't. And if you think it's gonna, then you're gonna be really disappointed. So you gotta know what you're in for open mind, delicious plate, all good and hot. Okay guys, I'm gonna pull this chicken out, put them on the counter. Our counter, by the way, is made of soapstone, and so they actually absorb the heat, which is one of the reasons I picked these counters. You can put anything hot right on the counter and it helps to absorb the heat, doesn't ruin the counter. It is like a natural porous finish. I love them. Okay, now here's how we finish our chicken. We are going to put a couple tablespoons of the tomato sauce over the top of each chicken breast. And by the way, just for the record, if you wanted something a little different, if you guys like to do meal prep, you know I love my meal prep, and you want to make something different on the weekend, make these cutlets and then just leave them stored in your fridge. If you reheat them in the oven, they will re-crisp up. They won't get soggy on you. And it's a nice change from like plain old chicken or, you know, just a regular non-breaded chicken breast or chicken thigh. So it's definitely a fun way to change it up. A good meal prep. Put this on your Sunday menu, my friends. Okay, and now I'm gonna do half with the mozzarella cheese, the fresh nuts, and we'll do half with the shredded so you guys can see the difference. We'll do this guy with a little, and you really only need a couple tablespoons over the top. Okay, there's one. All right, so that's your shredded mutz, and then the fresh. So you just lay it. You want to cut it kind of thin because you do want it to melt down a bit. And they don't go back in for super long. You literally just put them back into it's a fat one. Let's use a thin one. There you go. How's that look?
Good.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pop this back into my oven for 2 minutes or so until everything melts down. If you wanted to, you could put them up under the broiler, pop the broiler on, and boom, it'll be done in 2 seconds. But I'm not gonna do that because I don't feel like taking out the rack in my oven. So we'll just leave that, let it crank up. While that's happening, what I'm gonna do is plate up some of our spaghetti squash so we can make a plate, like a finished plate, because come on. I'm curious, do any of you guys do the plate trick? I learned this years ago. It was like a weight loss trick where instead of eating off of big plates, you eat off smaller plates because you feel like you have more food. It's funny how that mind-body connection really comes in on stuff like this. And I find it to be very effective. So we almost always eat our dinner on the salad plates. We very rarely use the big plate, right, B?
No, very rarely, yeah.
Okay, so you get your spaghetti squash underneath. This is like your spaghetti. Now, I didn't do anything to mine except for the salt, pepper, garlic powder, olive oil when I cooked it. You could top this with sauce if you like it saucy. You could do a little olive oil and fresh garlic. You could do, you know, anything you want. A lot of fresh herbs in there. Like whatever you'd want to do with your spaghetti. A little bit of olive oil. 30 more seconds, because come on, it's got to be really good. If you like, you know, some people like I don't. Some people like the cheese to get so well, there's get a little browning on it. If that's your speed, then definitely do the broiler, okay? This isn't gonna turn it brown. This is just gonna melt it down. And then you'll see I chopped up a little bit of fresh parsley to go over the top. Again, pretty factor. Okay, you guys gotta hang on to see the finished plate. Oh man, it smells so good. Now you can see the difference between the fresh and the shredded. Lauren says she usually makes her chicken cutlets in the broiler instead of the bake. Good to know, and it's totally an option. And they cook up fast, so that's a really good idea. So a little fresh parsley. Not for my kids. They would freak out if I put the fresh parsley on theirs. But for me and my husband, we love it. And that, my friends, is your final, I mean, isn't that gorgeous? It's so good. Eating well, cooking during the week, it's more mental organization, because once you organize what you want to make and you do the grocery shopping and you know, the actual cooking is not the difficult part. It's making a decision ahead of time. What am I going to make? Are the ingredients in the house? Am I ready to go? That's the key. Okay. Let's get in this yumminess. You can see it's like perfectly cooked. It's still nice and juicy. It's not, I will leave this bit. It's not dry at all.
Little bite, little bite.
Okay, let me cut that in half. I get excited, guys. You guys have got to make this recipe, and then you have to come back and tell me what you think, because for me, it's a love affair. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you all get to try this recipe. I will see you guys back here next week with some more clean and deliciousness. Cheers. Hey guys, oh, come on, that. Can you see it?
No, it sounds like you still have food in your mouth here.
How was it?
Good.
1,
2.